Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today is a really lovely one, so we're doing a sketchbook flip through. So this is a handbook company sketchbook. It is I'll link it below. So it's a speedball product. It's a beautiful watercolor product. So this is the one that's wrapped in the blue wrapper. Not the red one. So this has the same paper, but it's just a little bit thicker so it doesn't warp. So if you are happy for the thinner paper, then go for it. It's a really, really lovely product. And one of the things I really enjoy about this paper, similar to like the Saunders Waterford paper that I love to paint on, is that there's not a huge drying shift. So what you put on the paper is pretty much what you'll see when it dries. So for that reason, I really love this sketchbook, and it takes all kinds of media, inks, pastels, oil pastels, it's pencils. It's really lovely to layer them, and also just very durable as well. So this sketchbook I took with me throughout summer, and even though it's kind of not seasonally it's kind of in season at the minute, it's a similar kind of thing that you could do with a sketchbook throughout winter and throughout Christmas. So rather than kind of painting the things, kind of the subjects that I have here, you could paint you know, the houses that you see that are decorated, or your own decorations, Christmas trees, presents, and just all kinds of different things. So for example, here is a peony that my mum brought home from New York City, and you could see that I put in a little bit of footage there. I saw some that were a similar color, so I kind of wanted to show you the inspiration. So I'll show you the page, and then I will show you kind of what I was sketching from, and the kind of whole goal. I have a little sheet at the end that I'll show you the goals for the sketchbook, but this whole point of this sketchbook for me was to start to sketch and paint more seriously, like plein air subjects. So to become more familiar with doing that, and more just have more experience doing it. So it's definitely one thing to paint, you know, in your studio or at your desk where you're very comfortable with, where you're kind of in your comfort zone. So you've got your materials there, you know where everything is, you don't have kind of distractions, and you can really focus. But then when you go out and you're trying to do things on location, it's very much out of your comfort zone. So you might have to stand up, you might you know, be in a completely new surrounding, and so you have to very quickly kind of determine what you want to focus on, what you think will be a good subject, and there's just a lot more variables to kind of take into account. There will be time limitations and weather limitations, so all those things kind of come into factor in a whole new way. So it's really been nice to kind of practice to think about what to actually paint. And I get this question a lot, like how do you know what to decide to paint? And really, paint everything, paint anything that inspires you, paint things that are on your desk, paint what you're eating, paint what you're wearing, something from your garden. You can paint anything, and what you'll find is as you start painting different things, some of them you will really want to develop and you'll enjoy painting them, and it'll really become more inspiring and more interesting to you. And then some things you'll just be, you know, happy with, that you have kind of have that memory and have sketched that thing. And even kind of when things don't work out the way you had hoped, you kind of go back and it helps you to kind of remember the moment, and it's quite a nice reminder. So one of my goals for this sketchbook was also to think about my materials and to get more familiar with them. The more you know your colors, or you know, whatever different things that you're using, like for example in this one there's Neocolor that I used to sketch, and then I did watercolor on top of it, and so it's the silver Neocolor one. But the more that you kind of get familiar with the things that you're using, instinct will be able to take over when you're out and, you know, there's people walking everywhere and you aren't able to sort of quiet your mind and kind of really think about what you're doing in the same kind of way. But if you have already kind of gained this familiar rapport with your materials, then it does become a lot easier and a lot more instinctual. You'll be able to kind of just grab a color that you want and you kind of know what you have to work with, and then it more becomes how you feel. So I think that one of the things that I was looking at when I was like you can see, that's some Stabilo pastel pencil that I've wet, and then I'm laying that down over watercolor. But one of the things that I was kind of trying to do with these sketches is not only give you like a visual representation of that moment or that situation, but also give you a little bit more of how it felt, so that when you see it and then you see the actual footage from, you know, where that came from, it gives a little bit of added understanding of kind of the emotional side of it as well. So this is a little deer that was just joining us one day. We were out there plein air painting, and you'll see her babies actually later on in the video. But yeah, so this is a page which I wasn't actually planning to do this on, but then I really just wanted to sketch this in pencil. So, you know, sometimes if you have a little bit more time, you can work on something like that. Whereas this was, I was just standing here while these shadows go across the wall very quickly, and I had about 3 minutes. And what I realized by doing this page is that I couldn't wet the page quickly enough to get the soft kind of wet on wet technique that I wanted to do. So the page kept drying, which is actually something that I really do love about this paper. So by the time you've kind of finished the sketch, it's pretty much dry enough for you to close the book and move on. But it is in doing things like that that you'll kind of figure out, like, I really need to get a little mister of water and just be able to squirt the page and wet it and keep it moist when I want to work like that. So those are the kinds of things that you can kind of figure out from, you know, doing these sketches. And not everything has to be perfect. You know, that's the whole beauty of a sketchbook, is that you can just flip the page and start again. And you'll find as you progress that it's actually really interesting to go back and see, you know, how you've figured different things out. Like this one was, I think, one of the first kind of ones that I did, and I didn't love the finished sketch, but I really did like some of the colors here and some of the layering. So that's the kind of thing you can take from the different sketches, is just different elements of it. You know, some of it you might like the way that you've rendered something, you might like the color notes that you've used, you might like the composition but not the color, so you can try it again in a different way and mix things up differently. And you may have seen some of these sketches in older videos, but this is one that I really loved. This was kind of the first time that I took the sketchbook out. There were people just walking everywhere. I kind of set up on this bridge, which was actually really nice. And then, yeah, just finished an actual painting. Like, it was just like a 3 or 4 minutes, but by the time I finished, I was actually painting and I was able to get into that kind of focus, which was really nice. So, yeah, this one here, I was actually just playing with inks and doing a background kind of, but then I realized this kind of looks like an abstract landscape, so I just wanted to leave this. I quite like it. So this one here is, you can see this like the entryway. It's really, really beautiful. I feel like the chandelier has kind of like, it's more of an animate object. It's kind of got its own presence. So, and throughout the day the light will change, and the like little sparkles and rainbows on the wall. So this was again something that I stood there and sketched, and you know, trying to again stand up and get out of my comfort zone, just do something quickly, try and kind of get the composition, get the form in a little bit. And then everything that I painted in this, so if it wasn't on location, I tried to paint it still somewhere that was uncomfortable. So I might have taken these things downstairs after that and finished off the painting at the dining table or something like that. So I think it's really important. It's one of the, I think, very important kind of things to try and get past when you are working on location, is just the busyness of things, and the you know, there's noises and sounds and all kinds of different things happening, and you still kind of have to try and get back into that kind of painting state of mind. So you could see there that I've used this tiny little vial of gold that I have in my kind of on-the-go setup, and it's the Schminke Aqua Bronze. So it's just a really beautiful product, and I've just popped a little bit of that into a 1/4 dram glass vial off Amazon. So yeah, and then you can see there that I was trying like to lift the paper again. This was something where I'm experimenting with the paper, with, you know, what it can actually do. And I don't think that was a really staining color, but it didn't lift, which can be a good thing if you are trying to build up layers. And again, I could use some white or something, but I just left that. So yeah, so this is a little one where I was just again painting a deer sign. Around here we have a lot of deer signs, so which is quite nice and different to if you are in a different part of the world. So yeah, and this one here I painted for my sister. So this one, she loves everything Ulta, Sephora, and this day we came out of Whole Foods and it was just a beautiful, like the sky was just amazing. So I just wanted to make a little note of that in the sketchbook. So this was just a beautiful moment where this bright yellow mini set against the backdrop of this lush green, kind of the rock face and the side of the highway. Yeah, it was just really, really vibrant and lovely. So again, I wanted to just play with those colors and just document that moment. So this was a super hot day, and the two little, so the mum deer that you saw earlier, she would go out the back and get my brother to feed her, and then she would leave the babies out the front. So this day we went out there, it was so hot, and just kind of standing there, and I did 2 quick sketches of them, and so yeah, it was just a really lovely moment. So this next page is just some leaves that we were seeing everywhere. So this is clover and blackberry leaves, I think. Yeah. So I just put a watercolor wash on the paper, and then I just put watercolor on the back of the leaves and pressed them onto the paper and let them stay overnight. And then this is actually the first sketch that I did of the 2 of the baby deers. They were first sitting down, and you can see I tried to capture like just the heat of the day in kind of the brown leaves, and also the one little deer that was sitting there that's kind of invisible, and so I tried to also put that in. And then this was a day, so we had just gone to the knitting shop. We really love this knitting shop that's kind of up, it's along the Hudson, and then we just basically drove down the Hudson until we found a little cafe and kind of this pizza shop, which was really nice. They brought us pizza on these like silver cake plates, and yeah, so we just kind of sat there and did some sketching. And then again, this was a situation where I was looking at what inspired me about the sort of, you know, the setting, and adding that to the sketch. So I think I just showed before that right up the street I spied this like kind of orange striped awning, and it was just a little awning, so it was just really nice. And then I popped that in the sketch instead of what was directly out the window. I really loved this mint green ice cream cone that they had out the front of the shop, so I put that in the windows. The copper roof was beautiful, so I put that in. And yeah, what was interesting here was I really enjoyed pulling out the pastel pencils and kind of adding those in, and sketching also with the watercolor pencils. So I was using the Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle. It's the sepia 50%, I think, is what I was mainly using to sketch, which is really nice because when you go to put your watercolor in, you already have a little bit of pigment there, and it can already start to help add shading and color notes and things like that. This was also where I realized I need to work on sketching cars. So yes, but anyway, and like you can see the little yellow flowers there that I put on the left. So they had just a pot which was actually, as you walked in, these beautiful flowers. I think they were hibiscus, but just really beautiful. So I wanted to just kind of also make a note of that. So you can see that I have done this sketch a few times. We went back a second time, but this one here is the third sketch I did of this cafe. This was just done at home, and I was using oil pastels, neocolors, ink, just trying things and kind of playing with the idea of the cafe. But those were the two that I did actually at the cafe, and you can see that the different colorings in the different days for starters, which is interesting. And then it was also a very complex scene. So when you only have that 10 minutes, again, you don't have that luxury of 10 minutes before you start to kind of think things through. You actually just might have only 10 minutes for the whole sketch. So it just does become something to really practice and think about. And then this one here we did on the channel, and then I just added some pastel pencil branches to it, and that's why the little bit of tissue paper's in there, and I just again sketched on that. And then this is from Rhinebeck, so these gorgeous Angora goats that were at the Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival, and yeah, just did a little sketch there. So again, trying a new subject, and yeah, just thinking about kind of different things and different ways to do things. This was just a page of swatches. So this was a page where I swatched out all of the pencils that I have in my on-the-go pencil roll, and that has been so useful just to kind of know and think about the colors that are there and available. So again, because you're just there quickly, you are picking out colors, and you really need to know kind of what is available. So this one here was one of the first sketches that I did in this sketchbook, and these both I think are in the Neo color videos. So yeah, when I first kind of organized those and I was kind of taking them out and just looking at these different branches and leaves, and then just these materials, kind of trying to quickly capture the essence of a place and how to do that, and These were kind of some of my very first, like how would I like to use things, how can I layer those things up, and I really enjoyed adding the little bit of just acrylic gold at the end, just with my finger, just touching that on there, and it was quite nice. And then this here is, so it was just a little, I was actually really, these branches here on the right, I was actually just sketching those, and then I was out there and I thought I might as well just put in the whole kind of front yard scene. So the sketch didn't really work out as a composition because I wasn't really, looking at that in the beginning. This just kind of evolved, but again, it was a really nice kind of just thing to think about, these different parts of how to build and create a page, and yeah, just different components of that sketch. So one thing I wanted to mention as well is that a lot of the Daniel Smith greens that you guys like, the granulating ones, they're so good for landscapes as well. So you can see here, this is my goals, and again, I didn't write that in, I wrote that out afterwards to show you, but those were the kind of things, like I didn't sort of have it that structured, but that was what was in my head. Those were the things that I was working on and thinking about. You can see here the front of the sketchbook band, but those were the things that I was thinking about as I was working through this sketchbook. So it's always useful, and I think all my sketchbooks have slightly different ideas that I am working on or looking for from that sketchbook. And yeah, these are just highly suited for everyday sketching, taking everywhere, painting everything, using all the mediums. So yeah, you can see here, I think I left something on there, and there was like another watermark, so I just added some paint that was in my palette, and you can't really capture it on camera, but it's got a little bit of a sparkle to it, so which is quite nice. But at any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I am so glad that you loved the last art books video as well. So I'll definitely, more of that is coming up throughout December, and yeah, I will hopefully see you guys December 1st with the gift guide, and then throughout the month hopefully there will be little bits and pieces. So yeah, have a really lovely week, and I will see you soon. Bye.